I corrected myself as a failing.
Failing. That's what I was going to ask. So you still have hope.
I think, yeah, I have hope.
Mm-hmm.
But the notion that in 2026, my children have less civil rights than I had.
Maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it.
Another day, another millionaire TV host attacking the system that made her famous. This time, Sunny Hostin crossed the line. But Bill Maher pushed back hard, tearing apart her argument on live TV in a way even her co-hosts didn't expect. And this is where the whole narrative starts to fall apart.
So you called America a failed experiment when you were on Friday.
Well, and I corrected myself as a failing.
Failing. That's what I was going to ask. So you still have hope.
I think, yeah, I have hope.
Mm-hmm.
But the notion that in 2026, my children have less civil rights than I had.
That's horrible and terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
And so any scientific experiment that you would take, because I've discussed this with my husband, because apparently he heard some of the blowback when I said it's a failing experiment. If an experiment is working, this type of thing doesn't happen. There are leaps forward, not backwards. So it is a failing experiment.
Read her words again. She didn't say her life or career is worse, she said. Her children have fewer civil rights. Her son is 22, her daughter is 18. They grew up in a gated mansion in a neighborhood she herself called all white. She even introduced her son to police so he wouldn't be profiled while jogging. That's the civil rights crisis she's talking about.
And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes, but we're not there yet, not by a long shot. And we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it. Maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it.
And then Bill Maher told the whole panel to grow up. But here's the part they won't say on air. Nearly 35 million people are waiting for green cards, and only about 3% will get one this year. Over 50 million immigrants already live in the US, the highest in history. Tens of millions are still waiting in line to get into the system she calls broken.
If America is not the number one global power, it's not going to be Denmark. It's going to be communist China, a country that right now the government is imprisoning Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. It is a deeply racist government. It's a human rights violating government. It is a government that if they are the leader of the free world, we are not a free world the way that we are right now.
The notion of patriotism and the notion of America and the American flag has been co-opted by the right as if they are true patriots. Mm-hmm. But when I listen to Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, he said white supremacy is the biggest domestic threat to this country. And so as a woman of color with a 6'2" black kid in college and a 5'7", 5'8" black kid in high school, I don't see that part of American exceptionalism. I'm sorry. No. I think this country has a lot of problems that could be solved. Yes, maybe they're putting Muslims in jail in Afghanistan, I think you mentioned, and China. They're putting a lot of more black people in jail.
She claims the US condemned China over its treatment of Uyghur Muslims, yet says America is worse because of incarceration here. That's not perspective, it's comparing US prison issues to one of the world's most criticized human rights records and saying America loses.
If anything, they are as serious as a prison fight. Look, we all know China does bad stuff. They break promises about Hong Kong autonomy, they put Uyghurs in camps and punish dissent, and we don't want to be that. But it's got to be something between authoritarian government that tells everyone what to do and a representative government that can't do anything at all. In 2 generations, China has built 500 entire cities from scratch, moved the majority of their huge population from poverty to the middle class, and mostly cornered the market in 5G and pharmaceuticals.
That's the perspective she's missing. Bill isn't praising China, he's pointing out the contradiction. She criticizes America using systems, platforms, and opportunities built by it.
They weaponized her husband against Hillary Clinton. And the bottom
They did all
line
those
is,
things.
This country is a misogynistic country, and this country is a country that out of all of the first world countries hasn't been able to elect a female president.
So that's the claim. America is anti-woman because it hasn't had a female president. Never mind a female vice president. Never mind a woman winning the popular vote. Never mind a major daytime show run by women including Sunny herself. And days after the 2024 election, she went on TV attacking entire groups by gender, race, and politics.
I know that as a country, it's very difficult for people to believe that racism and misogyny, they're just alive and well. I think that we don't want to think that about ourselves, our neighbors, our friends. But it's my lived experience tells me that it does still exist, even if your lived experience doesn't tell you that it exists. And, you know, the facts support that. I think we have a graph. If you look at there's a clear racial divide in who voted for Trump as opposed to who voted for Kamala Harris. It's very clear. It's not only clear by race, but it's also clear by education. And so the notion somehow that is not true. This is by education. Those who attended college voted for her at a higher degree than those that didn't.
But I think
I've
you're
said
missing his point.
let me just finish. And so I've said that before, and there was so much backlash because I think it's an uncomfortable, inconvenient truth about this country.
But here's what she leaves out. After the 2024 election, she judged entire groups by race and gender. The same standard she criticizes she used herself.
Bunch of privileged mean girls complaining about privilege and trying to make fetch happen. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race see their election loss as a result of racism. And yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on TikTok.
That landed because it's true. America elected Obama twice, including a record-setting win for Democrats. Yet they act like it never happened.
I do think that this division that we're creating.
If you look like me, you would believe differently.
But you know what, Alyssa, the woman.
So just to understand, are we saying, do we think the vast majority of Americans are racist? That's what I'm trying to, help me understand.
I think that there is a significant portion that are racist, and you can't dismiss my lived experience.
And I never would say. I would never dismiss
when I say that there are a lot of racists in this country, I just experienced my son walking down the beach being called the N-word several times in Florida.
One story from one beach becomes proof of widespread bias that's the standard. And what's often left out, on finding your roots, she discovered her own ancestors were involved in the slave trade. That's documented history.
Bottom line, she managed to take a general observation that spouses of any stripe stick together and make it only about whites. And why? Because what else does she have? Nothing. She's not funny or smart or interesting, but she's an expert in calling people racist, so congrats on that.
Gutfeld summed it up in one line. It's classism. Problems rise, just avoid them. That's not working class, that's elite distance. And then, Bill Maher does what her own network want.
In Russia, just referring to the war in Ukraine as a war can get you 15 years in the fabulous prisons made famous by some of the world's most famous novels. You think America's evil because we didn't nominate Margot Robbie for an Oscar? Just wait till you get thrown out the window of your very own dream house. Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and Sudan still cut the hands off of thieves, so if you're coming from San Francisco, do your shoplifting at home. And you might also want to do your protesting before you go, because protesters are routinely shot in lots of places. Gosh, it almost seems like the world is full of suffering, intolerance, and oppression on a scale we can't imagine. But that can't be true, because if it was, we'd be protesting it.
That's what real state control looks like: people punished for speech, jailed for minor acts, silenced in public. And yet she still has her show, her platform, her homes, and speaks freely to millions. That, by definition, is freedom.
59% of self-identified liberals say there have been times when they considered leaving America for good, like after NBC canceled The West Wing. I don't get it. You want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want to leave?
They want everyone to come for the American dream, yet many say they'd leave it behind. Pick one. And here's the kicker. She said herself she'd leave America if she could. Someone even offered to fund a one-way ticket. She didn't take it. Because the failing system still pays her millions.
Let's get this straight. It's not me who's changed. It's the left, who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental and a large contingent who refuse to call them out for it. But I will. That's why I'm a hero at Fox these days. Which shows just how much liberals have their head up their, because if they really thought about it, they would have made me a hero on their media. But that can't happen in this ridiculous new era of mind-numbing partisanship.
That one line says it all. Maher didn't change, the party did. A decade ago, people like her applauded him. Now he's treated like the enemy for not going along. The liberalism he grew up with no longer exists in his own party.
But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. The votes are in. They don't want your pity.
There it is, the truth she won't face. Most Americans still believe in this country. They build their lives here. They don't sit in mansions telling millions it's over. She doesn't speak for them. Even her own co-hosts have pushed back. So what do you think? Does she represent Americans or just her own perspective?